one of the day. Oh, that's a cute one. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Big Bass Streams. I'm Oliver Nye. This is a new edition of Tackle Breakdown. We're going to talk about one of my favorite jerkbaits I've been fishing this season. This is the Nomad Shikari. It comes in two sizes. This is the larger size here. And it's got a very erratic darting action. And we've been doing very well across the country on this thing, catching them in Texas, catching them in California here, and catching them even all the way in the Northeast. And that's a little guy, but it's always a good way to start the day. I'm going to talk you guys through the tackle breakdown on the rod reel line setup, even the replacement hooks here, and show you guys this special jerkbait. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new here. If you guys are regulars, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button and share this video with your friends. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Oliver Nye. This is of course Big Bass Streams, and today's tackle breakdown is on one of my new favorite jerkbaits. And most of you guys know I'm a huge fan of that genre of artificial lure. I count on a jerkbait day in, day out to help me locate fish, trigger reactions, and go to it heavily as part of my piecing the puzzle. So I'm gonna break down all the technical nuances on what makes this Shikari 115 from Nomad Bass so special from the deck of the new Sneak machine. But make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you guys are new here. I'll probably do a walkthrough on this boat and give you guys a little bit more backstory on this awesome little platform in the future. Let's talk about some of the technical features on the Shikari 115 jerkbait. The tungsten weight transfer system really allows me to cast this bait with ease, whether I'm casting it on a conventional rod reel or a light spinning setup. And we'll jump into the setups themselves here shortly. That tungsten ball and weight transfer system also allows it to have a very erratic and sharp and crisp jerkbait action in the water. I can get this thing to cut hard and move really aggressively in a horizontal fashion, and getting this bait to do a lot without coming towards me too much. And the key to that is how I work the bait. Now, if you guys watch these videos here where I'm catching these fish on the Shikari, you'll notice something with one of your senses in particular. And that's something that I teach my clients and my friends on the personal training sessions, and what makes me so much more effective with the Shikari and a plethora of other jerkbaits. That's getting the right sound out of your presentation. And I make the observation of seeing so many people wanting to wind tight to the bait and going to rip the rod to impart their jerking action into the jerkbait. But what they're doing is they're winding up all the slack, and all they're managing to do at that point is actually pulling that bait in a straight line towards you and the boat. So there are times when that jerkbait bite is so good, it doesn't matter what you do with it, that they're gonna crush it. But for the most part, especially when it's tough, that lateral movement going side to side is what's gonna really aggravate these fish into reacting, versus that straight pull, and you're getting less out of your cast. And if you're fishing this bait correctly, you can really work that bait a long time, because instead of coming to you, it's actually just continuing to dance left to right in a very erratic fashion. So what you want to do is listen to your line, and listen and watch to my cadence. You can hear it go swat, 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 swat. And that's because I'm hitting the bait with a little bit of slack in the line to start my jerking action. Now what does that do? that actually allows the bait to turn sharply because I'm hitting it with some gumption, but also throwing slack back at the bait to allow it to travel. So that slap slap noise that the line is creating is pivotal in presenting these baits effectively in most situations for me. So pay attention to your cadence, pay attention to the way that it feels through your rod and reel, but also pay attention to the sound, because I can hear when someone in my boat is working this bait properly and ensuring they're giving themselves a good chance to get bit with an awesome bait like this Shikari 115. Oh, largie. Pretty fish.
Real pretty fish. Where's that?
Where the Colorado River used to dump into.
Oh,
Nice one, babe. He choked it.
oh.
Gotta keep it down and rod
I
bent.
thought it was down.
Got it
As
nine.
down as I could get it with you in my hand.
When you come up, you have to wind down. Like even hard, you gotta drive them back down. Oh, my head on. Coming in hot. These are the hookers.
Mine's bigger.
We'll never know. You didn't land
I
it.
saw it, so you can
You hear that competitive spirit there, Chris? It
Yep.
goes back to the very first day we met. And I thought it was just going to be a nice leisurely day on Newport Bay fishing for spotted bait. First things that come out of our mouth. So first, most, and biggest.
That was a nice leisure day.
Yeah, it was.
And who won?
We tied, but I still think I had bigger.
There we go. That's a better one. On the outside.
Same bait.
Yeah. There we go. This one's not hooked very well though.
That's what I'm talking about.
Now, another thing that I really love about this series of baits is that it comes stock with BKK hooks, and you guys know I'm a BKK brand partner, so that makes my life easier. The hooks that come on these baits are actually straight shank. They're probably Spear 21s, round bend treble hooks, and that's a good hook. But I love the Spear 71 extra wide gap trebles. As you guys can see here, they've got a really sick inward curve. Each one of these hook points is hand ground. They are the stickiest, sharpest hooks that I've ever had to deal with, and take it from me, I've stuck myself probably a half dozen times today at least, swapping out these hooks on all of these baits. And I've actually got a couple different size hooks here, and it depends on what I want out of my jerkbait. Now, you'll see these are size 6 Spear extra wide gaps, and these are size 8. So if I actually want that bait lower in the column or even to slowly sink, I'm gonna go with the heavier, bigger hooks. But if I want that bait to maintain its suspending nature or even slowly float, I'm gonna put the lighter number 8 treble hooks on there. Okay, that's a really subtle adjustment that I make. For example, in this prior week, we were fishing over the tops of willow trees in Northern California. and I actually wanted my bait to stay above the tops of the bushes and the trees, so we fished the smaller number 8 trebles for the most part. We've got a wide range of color variations in this bait for all kinds of sunlight conditions, cloud conditions, and water clarity conditions, as well as match to hatch. And some of these that I'm showing you here today are some of my favorites. This is the sexy shad, of course. This is a great color when the water is stained or you've got low light. You need a little bit of visibility. It stands out really nicely in those darker situations. And this one here with a little bit of character on it is probably one of my favorites. This is Aqua Ghost. And anytime you've got high visibility and those fish can see a long way or make things out really clearly, a transparent color like Aqua Ghost there is going to be probably tied on to my setup like it is currently right here. Another good color here is this little blue chartreuse number, stained water. That's another good one. Those of you guys that like throwing a square bill like a Nomad Atlas that love blue and chartreuse like me, you might find that one to be in your repertoire as well. I believe that's chartreuse threadfin shad, and this one was really good. It was a good in-between. I'd get into some back cuts where there was a little bit of stain or some mud line, but still relatively clear. That chartreuse lateral line gave it just enough contrast, but that transparent body still gave me a lot of confidence when I'd work that bait through the really high visibility sections of the water column. This natural shad is a really good one for a multitude of conditions. It's got a little bit of everything in it, so that's a very versatile pattern. This is their threadfin shad. This is a great mimic actually for sunfish if those fish are feeding on sunnies as well. Here's a gold back color that's highly underrated. I really like that gold anytime that you have overcast conditions or rainy days, so keep that in mind. Numbers and size. On cue.
Same bait?
Yep. Get out of that tree. Don't shot block me. That's a good one.
That's a nice one.
Oh, stay down, stay down, stay down. There you go. See how like deep I forced that rod tip? Got that Shikari T-bone.
Oh, dude, yeah, we need to.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice. That's what we're here for, cuz.
All right. Big old rubber lips. There's another one.
Seriously.
God, this one's fired up. Got a bluefin tuna.
Not a decent bass.
Yeah. Another one. That's a unique placement. You want a shot of that?
Yeah, I do like the way that looks.
Yeah.
Nice. Different color, right? Yeah. Nice fish, too.
Oh, he hung me. Get out of there. You come off? He was still on. Again, try to barrel him through. Got him. I might have done this before.
Might have done it.
I just. All right, we got hero fish. Okay, let's jump into the setup here. So on this actual bait that I was fishing, you'll notice I have it attached via clip. And the two clips that I'm fishing are both from BKK. I'm fishing a dual lock snap, and depending on whether I'm fishing it on heavier line or the lighter setup is going to dictate whether I choose the number 1 size, which is rated to 68 pound, or if I'm going to go with the 40 pound 00 size. And as we've talked about before, that snap allows me to quick change baits if I'm trying to figure out a color that's more effective than the other. I don't think it necessarily gives the bait better action, but it doesn't take away from the action from my observations. And I've seen some pretty unique video studies on YouTube on tying direct to a split ring, to a snap and split ring. And it really didn't seem to affect the swimming action when you had a snap to a split ring to the lure. So it's worked well for me for years, continues to, and it allows me to be hyper efficient. Allows me to get away with fishing these short fluorocarbon leaders, and I've got Defiant 18.4 pound fluorocarbon shock leader here. And this is a little bit longer than I normally like, but typically I'm good with like a 12 to 18 inch leader length. That allows me to roll cast this bait in and around tight cover like these bushes if I need to get into a little tight lane without having to deal with my Alberto knot connecting it to the 40 pound Defiant smooth casting braid, in this case, through my tip or my guides that might hang up my cast and break my rhythm as I'm working down a bank. I've gone to 40 pound on this setup because that thinner diameter braid does a couple things. It casts better, and it also cuts through the water better. And that's helping me get this bait down to, like, I'd guess 6 to 7 feet on the end of a long cast with the right cadence. That's pretty deep for a standard build jerkbait like that. And I'm fishing it on a Turner's Californian CBX C71 ML. This rod is rated for 6 to 14 pound line, 1/8 ounce to 3/4 ounce lures. It's a fantastic rod for this bait specifically. 7'1", nice and short, so I can work the bait in a downward fashion to get it down deeper and take advantage of that natural cadence and popping it with my wrist to get that sound that we talked about in the past. And I don't like a super fast reel for my conventional jerkbaiting in most scenarios. So I've got a 13 Concept C to 7.5 to 1 gear ratio. We've got actually a Gomexus handle on here that accents the reel nicely. I've become a pretty big fan of these handles. But you can find this rod, this reel, the Nomad jerkbaits, the Defiant line, the snaps, hopefully everything soon at your local Turner's Outdoorsman, who is also a brand partner of ours. We're excited to be repping Turner's throughout California on our California adventures here on the Sneak Machine and the other boats. Let me talk about the spinning rod version. And you guys might have seen the jerkbaits on spinning rods green room breakdown video on my personal channel. If you guys haven't, I'll leave a link in the description below, as well as up in the corner here for you guys to watch that. But I talk about all the benefits of throwing this same size and style bait on a spinning rod. It has nothing to do with experience level or being new to fishing or not being able to cast with the bait caster. There are just a lot of times, man, when that spinning rod, that short handle, that fearlessness of casting directly or crosswind really makes you a much more efficient jerkbait fisherman. So one of the setups that I've really fallen in love with is, once again, a Turner's Californian CBX S71M. So this is rated for that same 6 to 14 pound line, 1/8 to 3/4 ounce lures. Once again, 7'11". It's got a nice, beautiful, soft taper to keep those treble hooks pinned in that fish's face. And attached to the rod, we've got one of the new 13 Fishing AL13 spinning rods. And this is the 3.0 size, so it's equivalent to other manufacturers' 3000 size. 5.2 to 1 gear ratio, but it's got a pretty fast pickup, especially when you get into that cadence. And whether you're fishing the spinning rod or the conventional rod, it's key to listen to your line. Swap, 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 swap. And you guys may fall in love with throwing a Shikari 115 or any of your other jerkbaits on that setup. And I can get away with going even lighter. So we've got 30-pound Defiant smooth casting braid here, and typically I use that 15 to 18-pound range fluorocarbon leader. Now that thinner line, once again, lets me fire that bait a long way, especially into the wind, without fear of backlash. And it also allows me to get that bait even deeper in the column. So like if I'm trying to throw this bait outside that break line, where the willow trees stop, or down a steep rock wall, or off of a ledge, I'm gonna fish a bait with those bigger number 6 extra wide gap trebles to get that bait down, and benefit from the longer cast from the spinning rod, as well as the thinner diameter of this line setup to cut through the water and get that bait an additional probably 2 to 4 feet on the right cast. So it's nice to have options. These are fantastic, proven workhorses, and honestly a pleasure to fish. It's always funny to hear from my clients and my friends that pick up my gear of how pleasantly surprised they are at how much fun they have fishing this stuff. And it's like, yeah man, they've been getting a terrible rap for the last several years, especially with some of the advancements that the product line has come through. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this tackle breakdown. We got more stuff coming for you, especially through the membership platform. Those of you guys that are looking to pick any of this stuff up, please support the channel. Now we do use affiliate links here on this channel. It supports the channel, and we're not here to just shove stuff down your throats to sell you like an infomercial, but we are showing you what we are using in real life as we travel the country to try to capture these experiences and these hard to fool fish. But it also helps us when you guys are looking for these same products by purchasing them through the links in the description below. I'm Oliver Nye. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always after all these years. We're gonna wrap up the spring here at home in California. Gonna make a quick little detour down to Australia and hang out with the Big Bass Dreams Australia team a little bit. And then we're gonna make our way up into the Northeast with the original Dream Machine and the hauler. So look out for that wood wrap throughout the Northeast from June to August before we come back home to finish out the year. If you guys are looking for a fun new jerkbait to add to your collection, I guarantee you will not be disappointed with the Nomad Shikari 115. We'll talk about its little brother in a future episode. All right, I'm Oliver Nye. Catch you guys on the next one. I could spit it out, but these fish can't. Give them some breathings.
Catch and release, people.
Good job, babe. You did great.
Right on it.
Time.